Thank you, Shadow. Good afternoon, everyone. Darren Sherv, I'm Interim Chief of the Atlanta Police Department. I appreciate you being here today to help us pass along to our communities important information that is vital to our mission in fighting crime in the city. I'm going to first introduce you to Lieutenant Stevens, who is the commander of our robbery unit, where we're asking for the assistance of our neighbors and the communities to identify a perpetrator that is targeting one particular neighborhood, which will be Inman Park. And so, Lieutenant Stevens, if you come forward and be able to brief on this case, please.
Good afternoon, everybody. Like you said, I'm Lieutenant Stevens with the Atlanta Police Department Robbery Unit. Recently, we had a burglary that escalated into a robbery in the 900 block of Edgewood. In that event, the suspect was inside the home. He was committing burglaries with a firearm, which is pretty brazen. The homeowner came home, and the suspect held him at gunpoint, took some items from him. Based on the events of how that happened, we're going back approximately 2 months in the Inman Park area, combing through any prowling reports, any aggravated assaults or field contact reports that we've done on people in the area. We're going to have some still photographs that we'd like to release that were taken from an incident earlier in June, and some video that was taken from different points. But we're treating this as a single suspect at this time, and we're asking for any information that people may have, whether it's Ring cameras, exterior cameras, or unreported crimes.
The video that you read is playing right now above your head.
As you can see in the video, he has a firearm. It's in his left hand. This is pretty brazen. This isn't what we typically see with burglaries. With the interior camera, this is very good video. In this event, he has a book bag. Again, this event took place in June. We're going to have a second video that we're going to show here. Again, he has the firearm in his hand. These burglaries are primarily taking place afternoon, before dusk. We believe that he may be on foot or using a bicycle, depending on what he has available to him.
This is the second?
This is the robbery. This is a robbery from this week.
Do you mind just describing it? I guess it already changed. Again, you said you're looking right now, you believe it's only one suspect, but any idea how many crimes this guy may be connected to?
Right now we're looking at 5 incidents total, but we're checking all reports in that area, in that specific neighborhood, adjacent neighborhoods, the greater Zone 6 area, and then also the area next to the west of it, Old Fourth Ward, and parts of Zone 5.
Did you elevate this case, string of robberies, because he's walking around with a gun? Is that sort of more the concern, that homeowner can encounter this?
Well, the confrontation between the typically when we have a burglary, the burglar will take off when the homeowner is present. In this case, he decided that he wanted to escalate the crime. Based on the pattern that I see, I don't think that he is strictly a burglar. I think he's elevating his violence, and we want people to be vigilant. One other thing I do want to mention is that based on what I've been able to research, many of the homes have been entered through unlocked windows or doors. This is 2022, and I just would caution people to make sure they secure their residence and be vigilant at all times.
This home that was just burglarized and where the robbery took place, it's a historic home.
I'm going to, if I can correct you, we're going to keep calling this a robbery.
Okay.
It is a robbery. That's how it's classified. There was violence, so there's a difference there. But
was it not burglarized as well, or does it turn into a robbery?
he escalated the crime by holding the gun on the victim.
All right. So it's a historic home. Tourists stop by there every day. Do you think he's targeting specific types of homes?
Based on what I've seen and been able to try to pull together with other investigators in the unit, it's not. It's the home. I do not see any reason why it would have been targeted because of its historic status.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the frightening encounter between the homeowner and the suspect?
As far, well,
I mean, basically, the guy was rummaging through the home, and the homeowner happens to come home. And can you kind of take us through what transpired after that?
the homeowner came in and saw that the man our suspect had a firearm. He tried to run away, and I fell to the ground, and the suspect pointed the firearm at him and demanded some items from him, and then left on foot.
Thank you, LT.
All right.
And ladies and gentlemen, the reason you see we have very quality footage of this case, and you hear us consistently asking members of this city, business owners, to connect their cameras to Connect Atlanta by registering and integrating their cameras. This is one of the reasons we do this. We have quality footage here. I'm convinced that by the time your viewers see this footage, that we'll have good tips coming in later on this evening on Crime Stoppers. So we appreciate you highlighting this. It's a priority of this police department to arrest this individual and put him before a court to hold him accountable. The second set of crimes we're going to speak about today, and successes, is related to car break-ins. Many of you have reported stories where multiple cars have been broken into in a number of cities, a number of neighborhoods in our city. And today we want to announce some arrests in those areas. I'm going to bring Lieutenant Deaton forward to be able to speak on those arrests and the progress we're making, and I'm going to follow up with some comments when he's completed.
Good afternoon, Lieutenant Deaton, Larceny from Auto Unit. So we'll start off here with a photo that you see behind me, which is typical around our city. You see a lot of people that leave these items in their vehicles, plain sight, easily seen. And what we're asking is that let's please not do this. We'd like for people to clear their cars out, take these things out, either leave them at home, or if you're going shopping, maybe take those and deposit them at your home or your residence or somewhere else. Don't leave them in the car. I'd also, while I have the opportunity to talk about these items that are in the vehicles, is we just ask, don't leave valuables in your cars, and please don't leave weapons in your car. We're asking everyone to be responsible gun owners. If you do have a weapon and you can't take it into a business or wherever you're going, purchase a lockbox, a secure cord, something like that. Just keep your gun safe, because we don't want those getting into the hands of people that will use them against other people for other crimes. Next, we're going to talk about Maple Street. We had overnight, last night, our Zone 1 officers did a great job. They got a call out to 55 Maple Street where there was a person breaking into vehicles. The officer was quickly on scene. He saw the person breaking into cars. Once the person saw the officer, he took off. He took flight on foot, and the officer quickly apprehended him. So we made an arrest. That was a juvenile. And here's the video.
Stop right there! Atlanta police! Slow down right now. Right here. Get one take right now. Get one take. Don't use your hands. Get one the same. Get one the same. We're good.
Okay, so that was responsible for 4 vehicles, and like I said, that person was a juvenile. The next thing I'd like to talk about is at 250 10th Street, where we had around 27 vehicles broken into. Overnight into the morning, we're still getting information from those, but we obtained quickly, we obtained some still photos from the scene that showed some suspects. Zone 5 officers and supervisor were quick to that scene and made an arrest on 2 of the suspects. One was a juvenile and one is 17, just recently turned 17. There's 2 more that we're still trying to identify. So we're putting things out for that, so hopefully we can get someone to help us identify those other 2 persons involved. If we can, so in the midst of this, like I said, some things are still forthcoming, so we're still identifying victims that belong to the vehicles, and there's a couple of items that were recovered that we're trying to piece back to specific victims that we can also add additional charges. So right now they were charged with prowling, but our unit is pushing that forward with entering auto charges that we're coming across.
What are we looking at here?
All right, so this is 25 10th Street, and what you're going to see is the four suspects come in.
Can we go back? Can we move it back to the start?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't know it was playing.
if any way we could kill those lights, because I'm getting like glare on mine.
Is that better?
Not those.
Yeah, there you go, perfect.
Perfect.
Okay. All right, so this is what you're going to see here shortly is the 4 suspects come into the parking lot, parking deck, and basically just start popping windows. They start looking, and then you'll see. So this is before. So the all 4 come into view. 3 have continued. That's the person in black who we're going to need to get identified. Goes over, and I'm assuming that he pops this vehicle because we didn't have that on video, but you will see at least 5 or 6 cars. Almost all of these cars they'll go through with their punches, pop the windows, and you'll even see one of the guys climb into the one of the BMW there, climb all the way in, feet hanging out. So they're popping and grabbing, trying to get as much valuable as they can. They're looking for guns, computers, anything of value.
How many vehicles?
So there was around 27.
Which building?
250 10th Street, right next to Jason's Deli.
Okay.
250 10th Street. And you see how quick that was. So we're not talking, they don't spend a lot of time. You guys are probably familiar with this. They come and go, and it's very easy for them to hit this number of cars and be out. So
They all leave stuff in their car, right? People have stuff just.
right, and that's why the first photo you saw is what we're asking that people not leave these items in the vehicle, and especially weapons, because these crime is driving a lot of our crime, because it starts, and this is one of the officers that was on the scene, and you'll see a couple of the suspects here. And there's one of our investigators from our unit interviewing them. So in general, these suspects are repeat offenders, largely.
One sec, just
I'm sorry.
let them get the lights back.
Go ahead. All right, we're good. So in general, these suspects are repeat offenders, largely juveniles. It should be understood that our officers are getting out there every day, getting to these crimes quickly, making arrests, making good arrests. And then oftentimes, these suspects are back out on the street within days, sometimes even the same day. So what we're asking is, we're trying to partner with the courts and get more time for these people. But it's also adults, it's juveniles. We recently had a gun that was recovered that was stolen here in the city that was found in a neighboring jurisdiction that we're working on trying to piece that together. Maybe their suspect could be related to some of ours. I'm not sure that that was the perpetrator, but we're trying to work that out.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Appreciate it. I just want to reemphasize a couple points that Lieutenant Dieter made. Throughout this past 2 to 3 weeks, we've seen a number of car break-in occurrences in the city, and many of those, it's been multiple cars have been broken into. Neighborhoods in Princeton Lakes, and we have key suspects in that. Neighborhoods in the Pittsburgh community targeted. We have made an arrest in those, all 3 juveniles. Last night, the Vine City English Avenue neighborhoods were targeted. We made an arrest on that, a juvenile. And then our neighborhoods in Midtown, arrest last night, a juvenile and an adult, only by months. He's turned 17, and just a few weeks prior to that, we'd arrested him, and a few months prior to that, we'd arrested him for stealing cars in Midtown. And so my message is to the neighborhoods that have been victimized. We have made arrests in these cases. We are holding individuals accountable. And we appreciate the fact that you've been quick to call 911. We appreciate the fact that you have met our officers and provided us video. And we appreciate the fact that you have been participating in Connect Atlanta to help these arrests be necessary. But then my message is to the judges. We have placed in your courtrooms individuals that are targeting the neighborhoods of Atlanta. The Atlanta Police Department has done its job, and we are putting before you quality cases. And I'm imploring you to act on behalf of these neighborhoods and the citizens of our city, and to act wisely in these cases, whether it's connecting to appropriate resources, whether it's connecting the families to proper resources to be able to support their families, or it's meaningful sentences to protect our cities. This police department will continue to work hard for the citizens of the city and make arrests. This will not be the last arrest. We are going to find the other 2 individuals that were breaking the cars last night in Midtown and arrest them and place them before appropriate courts. This department will not stop working to make arrests of individuals that are targeting our citizens, and now we ask the courts to show equal determination and commitment to the neighborhoods of the city of Atlanta. I'll open any questions you all may have.
So these individuals, they're not back on the street.
Some of them are back on the street already. Well, the two you just saw, I cannot speak to. I believe the juvenile is back. And we need to make sure we do not show the face of the juvenile, by the way, that was shown. So I need to ask that you all to do that.
The two kids that were-
That's correct. So the adult, the 17-year-old, is still in jail. But the juvenile has been released. We anticipate additional charges today to be filed. Is that correct, Lieutenant Deaton? Sarge? Okay, additional charges will be filed today.
I mean, how frustrating is that for you, though? You know, your men and women are out here, you know, busting their butts and see people out the next day. How do you feel about
I mean, it's frustrating, right? Our goal is that the programs such as Midnight Basketball, our PAL centers, our At Promise centers, we know they're doing their job, and we need more programs like that. But for individuals that choose not to participate in those programs, individuals that choose to commit crime, there has to be a level of accountability. And that starts with the police department, but it ends with the courts. And so we are handing this now to the courts and asking for their work to protect the neighborhoods of Atlanta.
If no, any,
Real quickly, with the robbery, is there anything that a homeowner can do in a situation like that? It sounds like this homeowner came home and, you know, came just up upon this person. Do you just get up and run? I mean, what are you supposed to do in a situation like that?
I mean, you always want to attempt to separate yourself when you can from a perpetrator. So these cases are unique among themselves. Everyone is different. And the citizen must do what they have to do at that time to remain safe and to protect themselves.